Hi there. Today we're going to look at an IELTS speaking part 2 cue card. I would like to explore this cue card with you so that you can understand how to answer it well enough to score band 7 or higher in your next IELTS test. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to analyze the cue card, make notes, pick the right language to use, and then give a great answer. At the end, I will show you my own sample band 9 answer. First of all, let's look at the cue card for today, which is describe a positive change in your life. You should say why you made the change, when it happened, what exactly the change was, and describe how it affected you later in life. So what are you required to do here? Well, you will have 1 minute to think about the task, and then you'll need to speak for between 1 and 2 minutes. You don't need to talk about everything that's on the cue card, but I do think it's a good idea, and it usually helps you to structure your answer and talk quite fluently for the 2 full minutes. It is important to think carefully about these cue cards, so you might want to ask yourself a few questions. So, can you describe just any change? No, it should be a positive one. By positive, we mean a good or a happy change. What else must we say? Well, we must look at the circumstances of the change, which means the background. This explains why it happened. We must also say when it happened, and we must talk about the details of the change as well. Finally, we can talk about how it affected our life. Once you have analyzed the cue card, you need to figure out what you want to say. This means quickly deciding upon something to talk about. You cannot waste your time here because you have just 1 minute, so decide quickly and then spend the rest of your time planning. The change I would talk about is the choice I made 2 years ago to quit my job and start my own company. This company, TED-IELTS. Based upon this, I would then make the following notes, these ones. I would first write down the year that I quit my job, so 2018. This is just a personal choice, but honestly, I have a bad memory, and I think it would help me a lot in recalling that important information. Also, having dates can help you to structure your answer better. I would also say need challenge. This is not grammatical, but that's not important for notes. This would remind me why I made the change. Next, I would make a note about my experience as a teacher and editor, because this would help me to talk about the change itself. Finally, I would mention some issues relating to the last part of the cue card and how this affected me in my later life. In terms of language, the vocabulary you need to know will completely depend upon your choice of change. Whether you decided to study a new course, or lose weight, or adopt a dog, it would be a totally different set of words required. Instead, think about grammar. You're talking about events in the past and in the present. So you will sometimes need to talk about things that happened in the past from a perspective, a more recent point. You will definitely need to refer to the past and how it influences the present, which will require the present perfect tense. In other words, it is really worth spending some time reviewing the tenses in English. Let's take the first part of the cue card as an example. It asks why you made that change, which means you will need to look at the past and then look further back into the past. You could say something like this. I had been working at a university in China for 4 years when I realized that I was no longer challenged by the job. Notice the tenses there. I had been working This is the past perfect continuous. It is not a common tense, but has some specific uses, and this is one of them. I then interrupted this to use the past simple. I realized that. Now I'm talking about something that is started and finished entirely in the past. A single event. If you want to know more about the 12 tenses, you can take the completely free IELTS grammar course on my website, or else grab a copy of my book, this one here, called Grammar for IELTS Writing, which is available as a printed book on Amazon or as a PDF at my website, www.TED-IELTS.com/books. Okay, now it's time for me to give you my sample Band 9 answer for this cue card. Remember that this is my personal answer to this question, and so for you it will be completely different, and that's okay. In 2018, I made a big change in my life that I would certainly view as positive. It was in October or November of that year that I realized I was very bored of my job. Although it paid well and gave me a good amount of autonomy, I was unhappy about the repetitiveness of it all. I was teaching the same course year after year, and there were no new challenges. I decided one day to start my own company, but to focus on it meant that I would have to quit my job. Obviously, it was quite frightening to give up a steady job with a good salary, but I knew that it was the right thing to do. I gave my letter of resignation to my bosses and then set about devoting myself to mastering my new position as the owner of a small educational company. For about 2 years, I've been running this company by myself, and it has provided countless challenges. As well as teaching, I also edit a lot of essays. This was great for me because I have many years of experience in both teaching and editing, so I was mostly prepared for it. However, I had to learn other things like marketing and web design in order to make the company successful. This change has had a huge impact upon my life. For the past 2 years, I have had a great amount of freedom, and I have been able to help thousands and thousands of people. However, it is stressful and exhausting and provides constant headaches. Still, I would say that overall it has been a positive change, and I'm glad that I made it. I hope that this answer was useful for you. Don't try to copy my ideas or structures here, because this is my answer, and your answer must be personal and unique to you. You should describe your experiences in the most logical way, but it's worth noticing the logical development of information in my answer. I started in the past and finished now in the present, talking about things in a sensible order. Also, a few more language notes. I also said make a change because this is the verb that we use with change. You can't say have a change or do a change or any other verbs like that. I hope this was very useful for you. I'll see you again for another video next time.